Well, I went to see Pete the cat today, see how he was doing, take some pictures of some other cats. Pete had been moved from the cat room back into the intake area. When I found him there, the inside of his cage was completely shredded. The newspapers were turned into confetti. His litter box, we use cardboard boxes like you might get from a fancy store with some nice clothes in it. The litter box was also completely shredded into confetti. Pete was laying there in the back of his cage, which usually isn't too good. Nice cats come to the front of the cage when people are nearby. So I opened up his door and offered him a cat treat. Very carefully, not imposing. I didn't try to grab him or anything. I broke it, put it by his nose so he could smell it, and smelled my hand. And then, without warning, Pete shot like a rocket out of the cage onto the floor, tore all around the room, and found a hiding place under a cabinet. I got some help, and as the person was trying to get Pete to go back in his cage, pick him up, the cat literally was climbing the walls. I know people say climbing the walls, and it's a figure of speech. No, this cat went like 3 and 4 feet up the wall just on the power of its claws. I don't know how an animal can do that, jumping and clawing its way trying to get to the ceiling. At one point, I thought that I had a good chance of getting Pete by the scruff of the neck. I grabbed him, but I grabbed him really too far back on the shoulders. He was able to whip his head around, and consequently, it's 4 hours later, and I am still bleeding. I got punctures here. This is from an open-mouthed cat, and I got 3 or 4 other bites on my other hand, not quite as deep, perhaps. I got swelling coming up here. It's like the size of a marble. It looks pretty obscene to me. I'm not supposed to have this big knuckle here, and it's starting to discolor. I think we're going to have some dark bruising all around. So we filled out the proper paperwork. I went to the supervisor and told her what happened, washed it up with soap and water, of course. So when she started filling out the paperwork, the supervisor told me to think about an important question. Would Pete be a good pet for somebody? Would Pete be an acceptable pet? So I thought it over, and I thought hard and long, because I knew what would happen if I said I didn't think Pete would be a good pet. And in the end, I had to tell her the truth. Of all the cats that come and go, I've never seen one so frightened, so dangerously frightened as Pete. And I told her I didn't think he would be a good, safe pet for any family. Maybe out there, maybe 1 in 100 cat lovers is qualified enough and has enough time to take a somewhat dangerous cat like Pete. But we can't really depend on that. We're a public facility. We're licensed. We have liability insurance. If we were to put a cat like Pete out there and he went to a home where there were children or children visiting and someone got bit up like this, we would be in serious trouble ourselves. There are just too many other good cats that come and go. A lot of them lose their lives for stupid little infections and runny eyes and stuff like that. I told her, no, I didn't think Pete was really adoptable, so I presume they're going to hold him for 10 days to see if he comes down with anything. Rabies works much quicker in cats and dogs than it does in humans. With humans, it can take weeks or months to show up. So the normal procedure, I think, is to watch the cat for 10 days. And I don't know, they might send poor Pete's head down to Harrisburg, the state capital, where they can check his brain for rabies. But I feel very bad about this. I've never condemned a cat before, and I'm glad I never had to. Out of 400 cats or so that I've taken pictures of, I've never had one that was so out of control as this. I had a very sheltered life myself. The bad cats are screened, and they never even make it to the cat room for me to take their pictures. So here's an appeal for people. If you have pets, if you have cats, socialize them as much as you can. Get them used to meeting lots of different people in a non-threatening way so that they can become used to it, and if they ever turn up lost, then they won't be like Pete. Pete was an owner turnover cat. He had problems at home, evidently, that caused his owners to bring him in to us. I don't know what he was doing there. Maybe he was always running, hiding under furniture, attacking if you tried to pick him up or move him. It's a shame. I don't really consider that he was a bad cat, but he was just a dangerous cat because of his terrible fear problem. I know there's products out there on the market, rescue remedy, aggression formula, and different homeopathic solutions you spray in the air, and it's supposed to work and calm the animals down. But in a shelter environment like this, we can't be dosing the cat 4 times a day as per the instructions. And as I said, if somebody would take this cat home and run into trouble, it would be our neck on the chopping block. So rest in peace, Pete. It was nice knowing you. I might be going to the doctor later on today to have a look at these wounds and see what he recommends. But I'm not about to give up on cats, because I know that most cats are, in their own way, nicer than most people. If there's another lesson to be learned in this whole thing, it's this: that it's easy to make a cute video on YouTube. You can make any cat look pretty nice. Make them talk, take the best pictures of them rolling over and just looking nice. But it doesn't really prove that that's the way the cat really is. So any video that you see on YouTube, whether it's mine or anybody's, take it with a grain of salt, because you're only getting a small snapshot in time. Here he is again, one last time, Pete the cat.
The newest cat in the room when the photographer came around. There's not much anyone really knows about me yet. A couple days ago, my owners took me for a car ride and left me here. Ouch! This is a very scary place for an 8-month-old. Loud noises, big loud people, children pressing their faces to my cage door, and strangers always trying to touch me. Like most of my breed, I appreciate having just 1 or 2 close people relations. If you take your time with me, I will be a wonderful cat for you. Just don't try to push it too quickly, because I can get frightened and defensive.